Hi, everyone. This is Kelly Steinke with Silver Moon Spelling Rules. I'm here to offer a tip for teachers who are struggling to get their students to remember the names of their spelling rules and what those rules are. My biggest recommendation when you're using Silver Moon is simply to make sure all of your students have their own deck of student spelling cards. If you're working in the first book, the blue book, their deck looks like this. It's a smaller deck of cards. And I like to laminate my student cards so they stay nice and clean and sturdy, because students will typically be using these all year long when they're working on writing at school or at home. I like to hole punch the corner, keep them on a ring binder, and this does a couple different things. It makes it very memorable for students, something tangible that they can put their hands on and collect and keep. They are really proud when they earn a new card. Usually when they've earned a card, it signifies they've learned another rule and they've mastered that content to a certain level. And I just can't stress the importance of each of your students having a deck of these cards, because this is how the program was intended to be used. And that's because a lot of our students do have a hard time with memory. They do have a hard time retaining information and then applying that information. So we want to support the memory systems, especially when they're weak. And this program was created from, looking at a lot of the research on learning disabilities and dyslexia. And a lot of that research is saying, use mnemonics, use memory triggers, use picture clues, tell stories so that students can relate to the content you're talking about. And that's exactly what these cards do. I'm going to give you an example here. We've got Sammy, Sam loves fried zucchini. And of course, he helps us with the doubling rule for the end of words. Sam is a cool character in and of itself, right? So this is kind of creates a conversation, opens up discussion, and gives us kind of a bridge into the new spelling rule. But not only is Sam a fun picture, but he's got a creative name that's mnemonic based. So we've got clues within his name that'll help students remember the rule. He also has, hidden clues within the zucchini here, because, the double letters, double S, F, L, and Z. This is a clue to help kids remember what this rule is all about. And maybe some of you haven't noticed, but there's a single E floating above the zucchini in the steam coming up from the frying pan. And that's to help students remember it's only for words with one vowel. One vowel. We're going to double these F, L, S, and Z letters at the end of a word. Now, oftentimes you can show students the picture of the rule they're trying to remember, and that memory will pop right into their brain, and they'll be able to apply the rule. If they need a little more jogging, you can take a look at the rule's name, or you can flip your card to the back side, of course, and read the definition on the back. I recommend your students are allowed to have their rule cards out whenever they're working on spelling. You might even want to have them out when they're working on spelling tests within Silver Moon, because, as adults, we use our resources all the time when we're at work or in the home, and we can't remember something, we'll look it up and then we'll apply what we've looked up. And I like to use that same philosophy with students. We learn through repetition of material, and the more you can get kids using their cards, owning their cards, referencing their cards, and using the material in here, the more automatic they're going to become when they go to remember those rules and apply those rules. There are card decks for each of the books. We have the card deck for the red book, which is our second book, covers different syllable patterns, as well as a vanilla colored book. And that is my tip and trick for you today. If you're finding your students have a hard time remembering the rules, remembering the names of the rules or what those rules are, get them their deck of cards, because they will own it. They'll love it. It gives them something tangible. And it's quite motivating. Helps increase that level of repetition as well. Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon.